Hey everybody, this is Dave Gleason once again for the IYCA. I'm here at Athletic Revolution in Pembroke, Massachusetts. We're just south of Boston. Come and visit if you're ever in the Boston area. We'd love to see you. That being said, I want to talk about long-term athletic development and how that kind of pertains to the 14-plus crowd. If you guys have seen any of my other videos, I talk extensively, and I've got a lot of information out there on 6-year-olds all the way up to 13. What about our high school kids, our boys and girls? First of all, I want to delineate things just a little bit or add some clarity. What I'm talking about for 14 plus are two groups of kids. One is your competitive performance athletes. Second is your fitness athletes. Now, what do I mean by that? I think the first one is pretty self-explanatory. Competitive athletes, performance athletes, those are your team sport athletes. Those are your athletes that are trying to get to another level. They're into it. They're here for a specific reason: more speed, more power, more flexibility, whatever it is they need to better perform on the court, the ice, the field, whatever. We also have here a lot of kids that we consider to be fitness athletes. They don't give a hoot about making a team. Many of our fitness athletes actually don't play any sports. They've stopped that part of their lives and they're into band or chorus or arts, the arts, something to do with the arts. Maybe they're just a brainiac or in a math club, whatever. This is one of their major forms of activity, so we're really trying to teach them to have a physical culture about them, to love activity, love fitness, learn about it, learn how it affects their body, so forth and so on. So how do we mash that all together? Because here in this facility, what you see behind me, there's not much else to see. We're about 2,500 square feet, so when we run a group of 14 plus, we have both sets of athletes in there. That being said, how do we run this so that it works for everybody? First of all, I'm going to run you through a template just real quick. But to give context to that, here's how we split up our days. We run these groups 6 days a week, and most of our performance athletes are 2 to 3 times a week. Most of our fitness athletes are 1 to 2 times a week. The only caveat to that is we'll have our 1 time a week in-season programming for for our performance athletes. So that being said, we have a 3-day rotation typically. Day 1 is a very important day for our performance athletes. Our fitness athletes really don't engage in that set of programming for day 1 unless they specifically ask. They want to learn about cleans. They want to learn about snatches or deadlifts or whatever's going on with that competitive group. Day 2 is a little bit more conditioning, a little bit more body weight based, resistance band based, Dynamax ball based type of activities. And day 3 is even, I'll say this, it's not the greatest way to say it, watered down even a little bit more. So our performance athletes get all 3 days. So they get their primary lifts on day 1, and then it kind of tears down after that. And our athletes that are not competitive, those athletes will mainly stay within day 2 and day 3, and it depends on the kid. And we have to find out what their interest levels are and what the goals they have outside of here as well. So I hope that gives you some context. After that, we have an extensive warm-up here that everybody does together before they break off into the meat and potatoes, the fun stuff, the lifting, the moving, the drills, if you will. I talked about that in another video, but real quick, we have tissue quality, active range of motion, muscle activation. We do a lot of torso mobility work for this age group. We've got a whole section that we put in there for general prep or dynamic warm-up. And then we have another section before they get into their lifts or their activities called skill acquisition or movement proficiency. That's where we'll get into bar skills. That's where we'll get into the skill of deceleration and changing direction. We'll work on the skill of changing direction in multiple planes. We'll really get into the proficiency and the movement capability aspect of being athletic and being fit, so that when they go into the meat and potatoes, as I like to call it, they're well prepared. After that, we'll pair stuff. You guys have seen this. This just works for us really well. We'll go with 2 sets of exercises back to back, A1 and A2, and then we'll go with another set, B1 and B2, and then after that we have a C, sometimes C1 and C2, depending on where the athletes are, where we are in our programming, where they've come from, where we want to bring them. And I say that because keep in mind with our long-term athletic development model, most of our athletes are on a 12-month rotation with us. They're on a 12-month membership. It's not 6 weeks in, gone, see them in 6 months. So I hope that that helps. Now, what do we do in between there? You know, what do we plug in and play? That's up to you. That's up to you. Day 1, like I said, is more of your ancillary lifts. Day 2 are your secondary lifts. Day 3, more secondary lifts, other skills that they need to learn that may or may not be externally loaded. So I hope that this helps and brings some clarity to what you're doing in your groups. And if you've ever had the question, how do I train and how do I coach both sets of kids? Again, your performance athlete and more of your fitness athlete, how do we get them to mesh? How is that inclusive? This has worked extremely well for us. It took us years to get to this point. We feel like we're really close to the bullseye on this. So go ahead and give that a shot. Please give us feedback. Let us know if we can help you in any way. I hope you're doing well. Keep being a game changer, and we'll see you soon.